this is just gonna be me talking about my interests for like an hour. So good afternoon, lovely humans. My name is Alex. Welcome to my third video. This is a bit different because this is not my mic. I stole it. It's my brother's mic. Professional quality is only temporary, guys. Anyways, today we are talking about something. I'm so normal about it, like you don't even know, you know. Today we are talking about boyfriend or girlfriend ASMR and audio roleplay, or just audio dramas. You know, we're covering a plethora of different topics today, which is gonna be interesting. This is kind of embarrassing to do, but then also I feel like I've never seen anyone talk about it, mostly because it's a very taboo or like niche thing to talk about. I had to take one for the team, guys. I had to take one for the team. But anyways, yeah, if you didn't already know, ASMR, I have it on my I'm gonna be reading out a lot of things, okay? If you didn't already know, ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, and it's used to describe a tingling, static-like, or goosebump sensation in response to specific triggering audio or visual stimuli. I can't speak English. These sensations are said to spread across the skull or down the back of the neck, and for some, down the spine or limbs. I mean, you're just describing appendages at that point. I've wanted to talk about this for a while. You know, I didn't do a script. I usually do a script, but for this, I feel like I can't like script this because it would just sound more awkward than it already is to talk about. But that's the thing, is that I feel like it shouldn't be awkward. It shouldn't really be taboo to enjoy these sort of things. I do just want to kind of dive into why ASMR and, you know, audio roleplay content and things like that is taboo. You know, I feel like a lot of people, they're very quick to judge or call it cringe and stuff, and I'm gonna try and take apart that as much as I can. We'll see if it works, you know, because my in real life friends are gonna be saying this. So, hey besties, how are you doing? I have a few things to talk about. I think the first kind of thing that I want to say is that, like, you know, I don't really understand why, you know, liking Marvel and DC and football and the stereotypically masculine kind of interests, they are never like in the shadows or like considered taboo or cringe or like weird. You know, people don't judge like hardcore football fans or like, you know, hardcore like Marvel fans. People have watched like all of the Marvel movies like 20,000 times. Like, you know, people don't really get judged for that. I just find it really strange and also kind of interesting, but like mostly just really fucked up, honestly. You know, for other interests with like K-dramas and ASMR and K-pop and anime and things like that, all of those sort of things, I feel like they're considered to be more like feminine interests or just, you know, targeted towards more of female audiences. Yeah, and I don't get that. You know, like why is that, you know, like why, you know, firstly, like why is it that interests are even gendered in the first place, you know, like why? But also, yeah, I just find it really weird that, you know, liking ASMR and, you know, like K-dramas and K-pop and stuff and just, you know, stereotypically feminine interests and getting really into those sort of things is just considered really like weird, or, you know, like they're not real interests and that they're not important. And I feel like people are more likely gonna judge you for liking that sort of content. Also, a thing that I want to say, I remember a VTuber talking about this sort of thing, you know, the same thing I'm talking about right now. Zsakuva, he's a VTuber, a virtual YouTuber, and he has, you know, like an anime style sort of model that he uses to make videos instead of putting his face online and stuff. He does a variety of content, you know, it's mostly gaming and stuff, but then he has done ASMR. He has done a lot of ASMR, and I just find it, you know, really interesting. I remember seeing a clip of him talking talking about this sort of thing, and about how when it comes to masculine interests and like people, you know, being really into like football and stuff, nobody's gonna judge you for that. At the end of the day, no one cares, you know. But then when it comes to liking ASMR and things like that, and, you know, having a genuine interest in that, you're just like immediately judged for that. And, you know, Vox was just kind of talking about how he enjoys making that content, you know, like he enjoys making ASMR, but then he does see like a lot of people that find him making ASMR to be just cringe, or just, you know, they just find it like weird and like, oh, who would enjoy that type of content, you know. But I feel like there's a deeper issue here. I mean, I could talk about this for a while obviously, but there's a deeper sort of issue here. I feel like it does stem from the patriarchy. And Vox also talks about, you know, the fact that being attracted to men, you know, like any sexualities of being attracted to men, that's, you know, always just considered weird when people make content for those audiences, you know, for people who are attracted to men and want to hear that content or see that content or whatever. And, you know, Vox just kind of talks about the fact that when it comes to like men, or, you know, specifically straight men and their sexuality, you know, they have everything, and I feel like everything is always made for like the male gaze and stuff, and it's always catered towards those sort of audiences, and women are always sexualized and stuff. So, and they have that content, and it's not considered like weird to like be into that content. But then suddenly if you switch that around, if we then talk about feminine interests or feminine qualities, or men making content for female audiences, or just to include everyone and to include anyone who likes men, you know, to appeal to anyone who likes men, that's suddenly considered cringe just because it deviates from straight men and just because it deviates from their sexuality. I just wanted to talk about society and the fact that it's always centered around men, you know, and it's always centered around their interests, but everyone else's is just unaccounted for, and nobody really talks about that, you know. Like when I saw that Vox clip, and I might like include that as well, he says it a lot better than me.
Some people will call anything cringe. Like, they will just go out of their way to say something's cringe, even if it's, like, completely, you know, bog standard normal because they don't get it or they don't understand it. And also, maybe I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I can't help but feel like that. I can't help but feel as though there is this sort of understanding on the internet, which is pretty shitty, that's sort of like, how do I explain this? I feel as though for the longest time, female, or sort of rather like attracted to male sexuality has been the subject, online at least, of a lot of unnecessary hate. This is a milder example, but I think it starts with something like maybe Twilight, you know? Like, a lot of people genuinely enjoyed those because they enjoyed the romance aspect of it. And yeah, they're like not great films. Like, they have a lot of flaws, but I think that the hate for them often extends to the people who just have a genuine enjoyment of that type of content, you know. And then what starts out as criticizing a genuinely pretty, like, bog standard kind of not very good film, and then extends to making fun of the kind of people who enjoy that sort of content. And that's not okay, you know. I would almost think that, while I agree that yandere boyfriend ASMR is really embarrassing, I can't help but feel as though I myself am suffering from the, you know, when you're online, you see a lot of opinions from people, and when they're about you, it's easy to take them seriously and to sort of panic. But at the same time, I think I also need to understand that a lot of the people who are sharing those kinds of opinions aren't taking my audience seriously, you know. So you guys can kind of understand what I mean when I say that it makes me pretty pleased that my content appeals to that audience, you know. My content appeals to you guys, because I'm just trying to sum this up in the right words. I feel as though there is an aspect of your sexuality that is sort of like made fun of too much, and I enjoy embracing that, and I enjoy supporting that because I think there's value in that. I think that for too long on the internet, and really for too long in culture in general, female sexuality has been sort of repressed and pushed down, and this also applies to gay men and sort of otherwise anyone who sort of is attracted to men. You know, I feel as though there's been a level of humor projected at that is sort of unreasonable, that people attracted to women wouldn't really see, you know, and that sort of makes me sad, because you guys understand what I'm saying? You know, your sexuality is very important, and just because someone else might find it cringe doesn't mean that it's not immensely valuable and deserves to be entertained. You know, in the same sort of, think about it this way, right? A straight dude might call your love of me cringe, right? Sees my ASMR and thinks, what the hell is this guy doing? What the fuck is that? This is the same guy who watches professionally produced porn, you know, with porn acting. This is the same guy who genuinely gets off to porn acting. You know what I'm saying? We're all cringe. We're all cringe at the end of the day. There is no discrimination to be had. Glad you guys agree with me on that. Yeah, I think your guys' sexuality is important and it deserves to be entertained and celebrated rather than whatever the fuck the rest of society is telling you.
Nobody really talks about it. Nobody really talks about, like, men who make content for people attracted to them. How that's just as important as appealing to straight men as well. That's just an intro, basically. Yeah, but that was just the intro. Also, this is just a reminder to myself, editing, include this. We're gonna talk about boyfriend or girlfriend ASMR, you know, and or audio roleplay and that sort of thing, right? So I've already said, you know, what ASMR stands for, but yeah, I mean, essentially it is just, I mean, people have different styles, that's the thing, and there are like so many channels out there, trust me, like there are so many channels out there. I mean, I haven't listened to like a lot of them, but I like to think that I've delved into a lot of them, but honestly there's just like a few that have been like my favorites. So I made a Google Forms asking people about this content, you know, because I'm gonna talk about it, but also I was just curious in general of like how other people felt about this kind of content. I got 46 responses, and like most of them are like paragraphs as well. Like there is, like, you guys wrote a lot though. Like y'all really went in detail. I mean, I'm not complaining, like thank you so much. I was not expecting, like, y'all really just ran with it, you know, highlights of the redacted audio fandom. But I think I'm gonna like go through this, and then I'm gonna talk about my experience, and then I'm also gonna, like, you know, read other people what other people have said as well. The first thing I asked was, why do you like listening? Oh, also, sorry, I should preface, I have listened to like girlfriend ASMR, but like, you know, my sexuality is very like 99% men, I'm not gonna lie. So I personally only really listen to boyfriend ASMR, just to, you know, make that clear. The first question was, why do you like listening to boyfriend or girlfriend ASMR or audio roleplay content, and what do you find interesting about it? But me personally, yeah, it is comfort, you know. I think it is comfort, and it is escapism. I think especially in COVID, I think a lot more of these channels were like getting attention, you know, because of COVID and because everyone's stuck indoors and we're all single and depressed. How did you discover boyfriend ASMR? Or audio roleplay content? I think most people are saying TikTok and YouTube. Yeah, me too. Same. Not TikTok. Although I feel like I would have. I do feel like I would have. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was, I mean, my friend, one of my online friends recommended it to me. This was in like 2021, I think. And that was in like, was that in like September or something? September 2021, something like that. And then I remember in my YouTube recommendations, or like when I first listened to it, I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was very, very interesting, you know. I mean, we've all been there. Well, maybe not everyone watching this, but some of us. But then I think one of the audios from the same sort of channel came up on my YouTube recommended, and it was, you know, from the same channel that my friend recommended. I think it was a vampire one. It was a vampire character. vampire characters. There's no deeper explanation needed, honestly. God bless vampire characters. God bless people who voice vampire characters. And I think from then on, I mean, it wasn't like an instant like, oh my god, oh, I can't even click with that hand, that's great. It wasn't, just pretend I can click on that hand, okay? It wasn't an instant like, but I think it did descend into madness. I mean, to be fair, if I'm talking about this, I might as well just say like my favourite channels, you know. We can keep it between us, you know, let's pretend we're at a sleepover. The first one of my favourite channels was zsakuva. That's probably, you know, not how you pronounce his name, but that's on him. It's fine. My favourite character of his is still the vampire. It's still Xanthus. That's also the reason why there's a Zan in my username. Fun fact, you know, you didn't need to know, but I might as well just. Oh, but I like a lot of his characters actually, and also probably Lontus as well. I do also love navillusasmr, and his is just, it cleanses my mouth, it waters my crops, it cleanses my skin, like, it rejuvenates my soul. It does everything. Yeah, and he's one of the only ASMR channels who keeps everything safe for work, you know, keeps everything holy, you know, we are innocent children of God. I'm atheist, but I think that is refreshing to see. That's one of the reasons why he's one of my favorites. I was obsessed with him like when I was doing my A-levels, and I think I did need that, you know, I did need that positivity to keep me through exams. Yeah, and then the one that I'm currently obsessed with, and that I have been also since my A-levels actually, was it in April or May? I feel like I should have like written down or like put on my calendar like when I got obsessed with these channels, because I don't remember exactly, but I want to remember exactly, but I don't, and it's like really annoying. Yeah, but redactedaudio is the one that I'm currently obsessed with, and probably, you know, the main reason why I'm making this video sort of, but you know, no biggie. The thing is, I already touched on the fact that, you know, many people find it cringe. Honestly, I found it cringe like when I first, like, you know, discovered it, or like when my friend first sent it to me, and even before that I just like never really understood like ASMR, or why do people even listen to ASMR in the first place, you know. Who knows, you know, I don't know, like I feel like it's so much more than cringe, guys, please. Trust me. Trust me, okay? Maybe it's a tiny bit cringe sometimes, okay? But honestly, I feel like it just depends on the channel that you go to. Yeah. I mean, that's by the end of the video, like literally. I feel like it does definitely depend on the channel you go to. And also, I feel like, you know, depending on which channel you listen to, and like what kind of person they are, I feel like that affects the community and, you know, how the community is, you know, how the fandom is. Because I feel like if there's a good person that is, you know, that is creating this content for everyone, then I feel like the fandom is usually gonna be a pretty chill fandom, or like a pretty, maybe not sane from from the Tumblr posts I've seen. But, you know, they're gonna be very nice, you know, everyone's really sweet, you know, and, you know, people make, like, theories and stuff. I just love, like, this community, you know. I think it's very welcoming, and again, I think that does depend on who you're listening to, you know, among other factors. But yeah, you know, I think it's so much more than people say, you know, because I think a lot of people see this type of content, or maybe it is recommended to them, maybe it does come up on their For You page or whatever. They'll just be like, oh, what the fuck, like, why the fuck is that being recommended to me? Or like, oh, that's really cringe, like, why would I listen to that? Why would I give it a chance, you know? It's so much more than that, and I think I mentioned earlier that Saku was my first like channel that I properly like listened to, and, you know, my first like favorite channel, you know. And, you know, although he did start with boyfriend ASMR and that sort of thing, like nowadays he doesn't really do that anymore. You know, like nowadays I think his new series, like, I don't even know what his new series is, honestly, but I think it's gonna be like an enemies to lovers or like rivals to lovers sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know, honestly. There's just a lot going on there, but I feel like he's come so far from, like, you know, yes, in the early days, and like a few years ago when his channel was first starting and stuff, it was very clickbaity and it was, you know, pretty spicy. And, you know, but then I feel like nowadays he's properly creating content that he is clearly very passionate about, and he's making all these well-rounded characters, and he does different accents and different, you know, voices and different tones of speaking, and uses different, you know, vocabulary when he's voicing different characters, and he's just created this whole universe. I think it's just so beautiful to see, and to see that develop over time, and I'm like, who am I to judge? You know, at the end of the day, I don't know him personally, obviously, but like, who am I to judge? Like, if that's someone's like thing, and if he likes creating that content, which clearly he does because he's been creating it for like a few years, and, you know, if people want to listen to that content, and if people get really into these storylines, you know, and if there's like a big audience for that, which clearly there is because I think he has like 200,000 subscribers, then who am I to judge? Who am I to call that cringe? Because I don't think that's cringe, you know. Someone's creating something that they really like and they're really proud of and they're very passionate about, and someone's consuming that, and it's helping them and it's giving them happiness or just making them feel something, you know. And I think especially in the past few years, I think that's all that people want currently, you know, and I think that helps a lot of people. I just think it's so weird why people are so quick to judge, because they don't really know anything. And like, maybe there are a lot of channels out there, boyfriend ASMR, girlfriend ASMR channels out there that are kind of cringe, but like, at the end of the day, if they're just making what they want, then like, who the fuck cares? You know, like, why do we care? Why do we judge people? Why do we judge anyone for their interests or what they obsess over or what they think about or whatever? Like, why do we judge that? I don't think we need to judge that, guys. Like, let's stop doing that, you know. And I stopped doing that a long time ago, you know. I mean, that's probably like the main reason why it took me this long to talk about this, even though I've wanted to talk about it for so long. I had been thinking of making a commentary channel for so long, but I was just really fucking like scared of like what people would say. And like, you know, me talking about this, it's like, I know that like people that actually know me in real life are gonna see this and are gonna see me talking about this and admitting that I like this thing, but then at the end of the day, like, who cares? And also, like, if someone does care and if someone does judge you for what you like, then like, fuck them, you know. Don't fuck them. I mean, like, you know, like, fuck off, you know, but you know, just to be clear. Why judge people for liking something, honestly? I wanna somehow portray the fact that this isn't really cringe, you know? It's not really weird, you know? It's someone's entire universe that they've created, and like, that's amazing. Anyways, back to what I was saying with Saku. I think the first character that I listened to was like the professor character, and then the vampire, but he's got like a professor, a vampire, he's got an incubus. Very interesting. We do like incubus, we stan incubus. Why my favourite's always non-humans. We can debunk that another time, you know. We can unpack that at a different point right now, but let's move past that. He's got a gang lord's son character. Yeah, he's got like a boss character. I just think it's like so fucking cool how you can create this whole universe, but also that you can, like, you know, make this whole narrative as well. And I think it's also interesting. I mean, this might just be Saku. I don't know if this has happened for like any many other channels. With Saku, most of his characters, they were meant to be like only one-off characters. They weren't gonna be series, but it just kind of turned out that way and he ran with it. And now there are so many like little details as well, but also I just love the fact that they're like all connected, because like two of his characters, Andrew and Isaac, dated, and I was like, holy shit. Like I found that very entertaining, honestly. There's so much like world building as well. Getting into this type of content, whether it's like boyfriend girlfriend ASMR or, you know, just general like audio roleplay sort of content, I feel like that, you know, helps people into audio dramas or like podcasts. And also another thing that I want to talk about actually is the fact that in all of these videos, in like boyfriend ASMR, girlfriend ASMR, whatever, the listener is, you are the listener character, obviously, and you are involved. And I feel like most of these channels just kind of tend to like scratch that on the surface, you know, like they don't really go into like full-on detail with that. But then there will be a few channels that do really delve into that. The prime example of that being Redacted Audio, and the fact that firstly he, you know, has a name in a way for the listeners, for the listener characters. So not only are you like fully involved and not just kind of existing, because I feel like a lot of, I mean, not to bash them, but like a lot of channels tend to sort of just dismiss you and don't really treat you as a character. I know that when they're like voicing it and when they're acting it out, it's obviously not a person, there is a microphone, but still, you can still treat me with respect, Janice. Can you see my shirt? Because this is merch of one of the characters, Avia. With Redacted Audio, with his listener characters, he assigns them different names, I guess, and you know, they are actually like fully developed and fully fledged out characters, which I think I've never really seen that in this community, at least. Basically how he does it is the nickname that the character calls you or refers to you, the listener, as, is basically what their name is, you know. And we, the fandom, and or just people that listen to him and they enjoy his content, we then, if we are talking about like the listener characters and stuff, we can then call them whatever the nickname is, basically. And there are a lot of them. I think my favorite one is probably Starlight, which, you know, also happens to be Avia's listener. Hi, my camera died. We're back. my camera died. So yeah, we're gonna need to do it the old-fashioned way. Yeah, I mean, let's just like go through some of his characters, I guess. Avia is a demon and his listener is called Starlight, and they have magical powers. We'll go into more of that later. In the Freelancer series, there are a lot of different characters there. Actually, yeah, I think the Freelancer series is a good one to talk about, otherwise it's gonna get confusing. And I feel like it's already uncharted territory with me talking about this, because, you know, I know that there will be some people listening that like have no idea what is going on. Hopefully there are some people that know what's going on. In the Freelancer series, the best way that I can explain it, I guess, is in Eric's universe, he likes to make it all about fantasy, and in a universe where demons and empowered humans and, you know, magic and all of these things exist, or coexist with each other, I guess, and they all sort of intertwine, and there are all different types of characters, or all different types of, you know, there are different places. It's all very, very interesting, and I could talk about it for a long time again. Yeah, but I'm gonna try to be simple about this. Yeah, but in the Freelancer series, basically a freelancer in Eric's universe is someone who has, I guess, equal control, or like has like all of the elemental magic powers, basically. They don't necessarily specialize in a certain one. They are kind of good at all of them equally, or not equally, you know, but they can do all of them, and, you know, they can do different, like, combinations and shit, and yeah, that doesn't make them, like, any less special. Just to be clear, that doesn't make them any less special than people who specialize in elemental magic or elemental powers, but it just means that they're kind of good at all of them at the same time, or like they're kind of good at all of them equally, sort of. And so you, the listener, are a freelancer. That's, yeah, that's what you are. That's what the characters refer to you as. I'm gonna go into this later, but I think, I mean, especially Eric fandom, you know, people who listen to redacted audio, I feel like it's a very safe space for everyone. And Eric is all about, like, when he's creating content, he always wants it to be gender neutral. He doesn't want to make any sort of gendered content. He kind of only wants to, he's made that, like, very clear, and I love him for that, honestly. I feel like a lot of, like, boyfriend ASMR or girlfriend ASMR, whatever, it is gendered, or even if it's not, I feel like there are still a lot of channels where, like, even if they don't specifically call you a girl or a boy or whatever, I feel like it still sort of feels like they expect you to be one or the other. So I just do really appreciate those channels who do always keep it gender neutral. And I think, you know, that's part of making it a safe space for people like myself, yeah, and just like anyone in general, honestly, but like, yeah, especially people who don't really like gendered content. Anyways, yeah, so the freelancer is referred to any of his listener characters, always they them pronouns. So then the elementals in the freelancer series, there is Damien, who's the fire elemental. So he specializes in fire magic. There is Huxley, the earth elemental, so he specializes in earth and controlling and manipulating like dirt and stuff. There's Lasco, he's the air elemental, so he specializes in air. Yeah, those are the elementals. Oh yeah, well, we don't like talking about Cody, but that is Cody. And also Lasco's listener, who are both water elementals, so they specialize in water. And there are a few other characters in the freelancer series, but those are like the elemental ones. Yeah, and then in terms of demons in, you know, the redacted verse, if you want to call it that, there are a lot of different types of demons. And, you know, I guess how it works is that each like type of demon or each like species of demon, depending on what they are, they get their energy from and they feed off of like whatever they specialize in, I guess, and whatever type of demon they are, basically. So for example, Gavin, he's also in the freelancer series. He is he's a sex demon. Maybe that's too much for me to say on YouTube though. Yeah, but he's an incubus, basically. So he feeds off of and gains energy from feelings of desire that come from like other people, you know, people feeling desire for him, basically. But also I think it can be just any sort of desire that he like sees around him, I guess. And then we have Calum, which is my bestie. Nobody cares and no one needs to know this, but I won a leopard plushie, like when I was on holiday. I won it in a claw machine at the arcade, and I named the plushie Calum just because Calum is definitely, Gavin and Calum are probably my favorites out of all of the redacted characters, but then again I do like most of them, so it's difficult. But anyways, Calum is an empathy demon, so basically he feeds off of feelings of empathy and feelings of kind of general like happiness and like contentment, I guess. So whenever someone is feeling good and stuff, then he can feed off of that because they're feeling of empathy, you know. And then there's also Cam. I'm not gonna try saying his full name. I know Calum and Cam are both named after star constellations, but I'm not even gonna try it. I'm not even gonna attempt saying Cam's full name. But he is, I mean, it makes sense because he is a serenity demon. So basically he feeds off of feelings of relaxation and peace and contentment. But then, so we have these sort of demons, but then we also have demons like Vega. Fair warning, just in case anyone wants to comment about Vega, I haven't listened to him yet. I haven't listened to his individual playlist, but I know of him from the other series that he's been in, where he's hurt my pookies. He hurt Caleb. He hurt my pookies. Basically Vega is a sadism demon. He feeds off of negative emotions, negative feelings, and the thing is, he could always just find someone who is feeling really shitty. Like, he could just find someone who's just having a bad day, or just, you know, getting really angry or whatever, and he could take those bad feelings away, you know, or if someone was feeling really depressed or whatever, you know, he could just feed off of that negative vibes, negative emotions. But spoiler warning, he doesn't. And he likes creating horrible scenarios and, you know, putting people through horrible things to then, you know, create and, you know, make his own source of negative emotions. You know, again, there are still a lot of things that I haven't talked about, but if I talk about everything, I'm never gonna shut up. So we're gonna stop there. But, you know, the reason why I'm talking about these sort of things as well is just because I feel like a lot of people dismiss this kind of content, or they just immediately label it as weird or, you know, cringe or whatever. But, like, they don't even know what they're talking about, you know? And, like, hopefully as I'm talking about this, you kind of realize that, like, it is actually interesting, you know? Maybe it doesn't appeal to everyone, you know, and I can accept that it's not for everyone, and that no matter what I say, not everyone is going to enjoy this type of content. Not everyone is going to be as into it as I am, or, you know, other people that also listen and enjoy this content. And some people will still go away thinking it's weird, whatever. Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna change everyone's mind. I think I want my main takeaway of this is just to be that, like, we shouldn't judge anyone for their interests and what they like, because at the end of the day, we probably barely know anything about it. How can you judge something that, like, you haven't even given a chance? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it, honestly. Let me just shut up about me, you know, talking about redacted audio, otherwise just let me shut up about that. And I'm gonna now go through the Google forms that I made. Yeah, I posted this on Tumblr, and I was just asking a few, like, questions, or for people to just kind of go in detail about, you know, boyfriend or girlfriend ASMR and audio roleplay and why they enjoy it and stuff. I tried to, like, not ask too many questions. Yeah, but I'm, like, genuinely so surprised how many people did this. Okay, I have 46 responses. Okay, that is insane. That is an insane amount of people, and, you know, I feel like most of them as well are, like, pretty detailed answers, like, you know, at least a paragraph. Yeah, and, like, I don't know, like, that's insane to me. But yeah, I asked 8 main questions. The first one being, why do you like listening to boyfriend or girlfriend ASMR or audio roleplay content, or what do you find interesting about it? And yeah, I'm gonna go from the, like, shorter answers to the longer answers. Yeah, a lot of people are saying comfort, escapism, engaging stories, entertainment, take pressure off of school. I'm lonely as fuck and I love fictional men. Me too, bestie, me too. It helps with stress and getting to sleep. I find comfort in them. I like when they have lore. I just enjoy learning about stuff. Yeah, me too. I'm a huge fan of expansive worlds and lore. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I won't read out all of these, but some of these are very interesting. You know who you are. Probably when the plot of the story is relevant, and probably a mixture of escapism, and I really only listen to redacted audio storyline. Yeah, I mean, based. You are based for that. But I'm also biased, so I've always loved self-insert media like otome games and X-Reader Fix. Audio roleplay satisfies that. Yeah, I did want to talk about this actually. You know, the next question is kind of how did you get into this sort of thing? But yeah, I think, you know, boyfriend ASMR, girlfriend ASMR is kind of like a starting point to getting into this sort of content, you know, where it includes you. And I think like this sort of media is like really interesting to me. I think a good example of it, and you know, like a mainstream a more mainstream example of it is like In Space with Markiplier, for example, where it's, you know, like video as well, like you're actually seeing everything as well, and you are fully involved, you know, you get to choose what happens. It's like a choose your own adventure sort of thing. And I just think it's really interesting, and I think I mean, just, you know, this is just like me personally, but I just really get into it a lot more when it includes me, when, you know, the choices and stuff that I make, you know, whether I can actually choose, like in Space with Markiplier, or, you know, whether it's just the listener character and their choices, you know, just seeing how that affects the story, it just makes everything feel a lot more real. You know, it's a lot more like interactive and stuff, because it's like, oh my gosh, like I can interact with this in a way, you know, and like I feel involved in this, you know. I think it's different than, you know, just listening to like an audiobook or a podcast, you know, because although it is similar, you know, in terms of they're both like audio formatted content, but I think with this type of ASMR and with, you know, like audio roleplay stuff, I think, you know, just being involved just kind of gets you more into the story, and it gets you more into the characters, and it's really interesting seeing how different the characters can be, you know, and how different their decisions and thought processes might be, like how different the listener characters are and how that affects things. Like it's all very interactive and it's all very interesting to me, and I think, I mean, I'm gonna use redacted audio as an example for a lot of these things, just because, you know, he's my favorite, but I also feel like he's a very good example of how interesting this content can get, you know, because the fact that like a lot of you know, I feel like most of his characters are likable, and they were made to be that way, you know, but then I also think that there are still some characters that are horrible, you know, or that are, you know, written to be dislikable, but they still add to the storyline and they still feel so real, and like you hate them even though like they're not even real, like that's not a real person, but like you still hate them so much, you know. Not that you hate like the writing or the character, but you would hate that person like if they existed, and like you disagree with their actions and their morals. And I think that's so interesting, to not only have characters you really like and that you feel really connected with, but also characters that you find so hateable. And also morally grey characters. I feel like redacted audio does do a lot of morally grey characters. I mean, let's you know, that again, I'm gonna stop myself there. But yeah, there are quite a few morally grey characters and morally grey storylines, but yeah, totally agreed. I like roleplay content because it helps me sleep, but most of them also have world building that I can really get into. Yeah, helps me sleep, relieves loneliness, and for the channels with heavier plots and narratives, it's just another form of entertainment. Yeah, exactly. If I didn't get into this, I would still be writing YN fanfic. This is my coping mechanism and my escape from reality, and I love it. As you should. This is a no judgment space. Like, genuinely feel free to like comment the channels that you listen to. I mean, I know that there are, you know, there's gonna be a lot of people similar to me, because my Tumblr is just me ranting about redacted audio and just me interacting with people that also listen to him and like his content. So I know that there's gonna be a lot of people similar to me. But also, if you do have any recommendations, or you just want to talk about something that I talk about, please comment, because I would love reading that, you know. Even just going through these responses is so interesting and so fun, honestly. I like the idea of escaping into a fantasy world where the characters do exist and where I am loved. I also love piecing together the lore and plot. Yes. yeah. Eric does love to, you know, like, this man really be dropping the most important, like, lore details and, like, plot details in a fucking sleep aid. Like, are you kidding me? You actually kidding me? Just kidding. I love him. The story that some of the creators weave is so interesting. It's hard not to get hooked. And the softer videos are just so sweet, they make my heart melt. Yeah, agreed. I find it comforting, mostly since I'm in fact incredibly lonely. For the ones that have a storyline, it's fun for me to dissect and analyze things like that, yeah. Honestly, I got very interested in the lore and world building of the story, and I like seeing it develop, but I do watch the plotless videos of characters I like, yes. I like the illusion of experience. I'm scared of committing to a real life relationship, but listening to audios makes it feel as though I'm not missing out on as much, yeah. Yeah, oh my god, someone actually brought up Markiplier, yeah. Always enjoyed self-insert content, choose your own adventure stuff, Markiplier's date, heist, space, etc. First person POV video games, so this really seemed like the next step, yeah. Exactly, you took the words out of my mouth, bestie, exactly. It comforts me to hear the sweetness behind relationship roleplay, honestly. It's also a really good escape when I can just put my headphones on and listen to the audios like I'm on the phone with them. Exactly, but just don't do that with Ivan, because, oh, more flashbacks. Yeah. Hopefully people will get that. I normally listen to them on bad days where I struggle to love myself. It provides the feeling of being loved and being safe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna stop reading all of them and I'm just gonna read what most people are saying. Yeah, they're a really great way to build a community and find friends, mostly comfort and escapism. Also, the more I listen to, the more I just like the medium for storytelling. It's immersive because you can't just passively listen. If there's a narrative at all, you have to think about what the listener character is supposed to be saying. This, literally this. That's another thing that I can talk about, is the fact that you're not just passively listening to it, it's like you are like an active listener, like literally, you know, you're an active character, and you know that character makes decisions, and that affects people, and that affects the other characters, and that's, you know, really interesting to hear. All of the audio roleplay channels put so much time and effort into crafting intricate and fascinating worlds and fleshing out characters that have their own struggles and personalities. It's storytelling on another level, yeah. Mainly for escapism, but it started as me needing background noise to fall asleep to. That is so, you're so real for that, like me fucking too. And audiobooks make me automatically focus on them because of the continuous storyline, I guess, and trying to focus on the plot would keep me up, so Boyfriend ASMR was the best alternative. Exactly. It leaves a lot to your imagination. Since it's audio only, your mind can go wild with the setting and or character designs. If it's fantasy, even better when it comes to the creatures and the environment. I personally love it for its creativity, how well it can tell a story through audio only, and for comfort. And the last one of question 1, fucking hell. I moved from traditional ASMR to roleplay ASMR, so initially it was to help me sleep. I was very specific to the voices too. If I didn't like the voice, I'd leave. That is so real. I only started paying attention to the plot much later, and soon it went from escapism to literal comfort safe place. It was quite similar to escaping reality by watching a show or reading a book, except now I could do it while doing other things, and it was directed to me, not another character, making it a whole lot more intimate. Literally, you guys are taking the words out of my mouth, like, wow. I'm so glad I did this, because yeah, you're just doing this commentary video for me at this point, like, yeah, literally. Yeah, this is question 2, and I think I don't really need to go into detail with this one, because it's just how did you discover boyfriend girlfriend ASMR audio roleplay content? Overwhelmingly, or I guess not really surprisingly, most people discovered it through YouTube recommendations and TikTok. Yeah, I was first introduced to it by a friend, actually. Me too. Started with one channel for over a year and then wanted to try and branch out. Got recommended another and then steadily gained a few more that I enjoy now. A few were like, the Redacted fans, you gotta check out Insert channel. Or someone interacted with me and I subsequently checked out their stuff. Oh my days. There are some of them where it's like I really wanna like I don't know. I don't necessarily want to read it out, but I might like just include. I want to try and include all of them. It's gonna be anonymous, guys, don't worry. But you know, some of them are just so funny, honestly. I sought it out. I found it during a really dark time where I felt truly alone and unhappy. It helped me cope with those feelings, and I'm in a much better place now. Thank God. I stumbled upon a redacted audio a few years ago. Of course, my first video was Tsundere Werewolf Boyfriend Won't Shift For You. That is so... You're so real for that, honestly. And also, I got a Lasco audio on my TikTok page, and I thought it was someone personifying the fan, so I got very confused. Guys, I don't know who submitted that, but I just want you to know that thank you for submitting that. Like, I just need you to know that I appreciate you sharing that to me, because that has actually made my day, and that is also incredibly funny, and it's also just very relatable, honestly. Like, it's just so fucking true, because yeah, that is the reason for Lasco's name. When I was describing elementals earlier, Lasco is the air elemental, and he got his name after the fan. So I was recommended Howl's Moving Castle roleplay when I was really into that movie. If you don't share right now, sharing is caring, okay? Please share that. I need to listen to that, but like for research purposes, I promise. Overwhelmingly, most people are saying YouTube recommendations or traditional ASMR or TikTok, so... Yeah, this is question 3. Why is boyfriend and girlfriend ASMR or audio roleplay content important to you, and how does it help you? Allows me to safely engage in situations and sort out personal issues or feelings. Yeah, I think that's also really important to talk about, and sort of highlight the fact that it does allow us to engage in these situations and, you know, just kind of be involved in a situation, or in, you know, with a certain like person or whatever, with, you know, like a dangerous sort of characteristic or whatever, or trait that, you know, typically we never be in that situation before, you know, and it's just kind of a way to explore that, but safely, because none of it's real. And also because it still includes you and it still treats you as a person. Yeah, but also like it's obviously not real, so it's obviously safe to like to experience those situations that we can usually. Yeah. I'm trans, so gay M for M is really affirming. When I need TLC, I can usually find an audio that helps me feel better. Yes. For those who don't know, M for M. Actually, I feel like I should have prefaced that earlier. When we're talking about boyfriend and girlfriend ASMR or audio roleplay, in the title there will usually be these letters, depending on who's speaking and who's making the content and who that content is targeted towards in terms of gender, basically. Yeah, so M for M is male for male, basically, or, you know, man for man. And then F for F is female for female, or, you know, girl for girl. Or that's not an F. Yeah, just woman for woman, basically. And then M for F is male for female, F for M is female for male, and then, you know, the most inclusive one is M for A, which is male for anyone, and F for A, which is female for anyone. Yeah, we'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, that's great, and also, yeah, I can I can relate to that. It is really affirming. It's important to me, and it helps me by offering me a way to mentally insert myself into another world aside from my own, if that makes sense. That does make sense, and I agree, yeah. As someone who doesn't deal well with their feelings and has problems processing difficult emotions, it provides a safe space to feel those feelings, and it gives me an outlet for it, yeah. Think about it when I'm bored at work, as well as discuss with friends. Yeah, good distraction, feeling less alone, provides comfort. Yeah, a little escape from my regular life. I like fantasy roleplays, so it's a fun way to explore another world for a while. It also helps me see what healthy and unhealthy relationship dynamics are from a safe distance. Exactly. I use it to pass the time, as well as background noise while I'm doing other activities. In a more personal way, it's helped me to figure out my gender and sexuality, and made me feel more comfortable about the way I express myself. Yes. My favourite part about it is actually the fandoms. I've made a lot of great friends through them. Other than that, it's just a great way to explore topics and receive comfort for things that you may not be comfortable exploring in real life yet. Yeah. Mainly escapism, receiving comfort, receiving reassurance, yeah. Yeah, it helps me with dysphoria. And it kind of feeds my inner child, like how when you were younger, you're constantly waiting for your letter to Hogwarts or to take away to Camp Half-Blood. It's a way to live outside of boring reality, and it makes me feel happy. Yes. Gives me a lot of good memories, meet amazing people, keeps me occupied, even got me out of an art block, as it should. It's important to me because it helps me get away from the outside world for a bit, yeah. It's important because it has become more than just a sleep aid. Literally this, but yeah. I've listened to redacted audio for 2 years and I'm really invested in the world and the storylines, in addition to just helping relieve loneliness when I listen to it. It has also helped me connect with the fandom and get back into writing with fanfiction and stuff. Exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth, yeah. It's a fabulous medium for some stories, and it's fascinating to explore. It helps keep me from being bored or allowing myself to overthink, especially when doing tasks that I need to, but don't want to. Yeah. It's important to me now because I've made my own channel. Oh my god, give me your channel. Come on, sharing is caring, guys. Come on. But it's so much more than that. It has helped me improve my storytelling. It's helped me work through personal and emotional issues I've had. It's helped me make friends I care about deeply. It's inspired me to create in so many different ways and so on. I always joke with the first friend that introduced me to audio roleplay content. They really butterfly affected me, and I honestly mean it. I can't imagine where I'd be without it. Literally same. And this is the last one from question 3. Honestly, it serves me as a reminder that good people or lovers still exist. In real life, having to go through catcalls and creeps, or just people, mostly men my age, going complete 180 on being nice to just ghosting because I want to take things slow or don't want a relationship, and it makes me lose faith in love. But Romance ASMR serves as a reminder that good, healthy relationships can exist, and even more so, it's one of the leading factors of raising my standards so high. Yeah. And I'm so thankful for it because anytime I think about settling for someone, I remember how a literal voice on the internet can treat me way better, and it has gotten me out of ending up with bad people that I decided were okay because they weren't as bad as the others. Not to mention how it's such a safe way to explore your sexuality and what you're into. The characters, have become a safe space for me, somewhere where I can cry and feel validated and just rest. My god, whoever wrote that, honestly, like, you guys don't know how thankful I am that so many people did this, and like, so many people wrote so much. You guys are writing essays, like, please also be writing essays on, like, you know, the things that you're studying as well as like this, because this is literally just for like a silly commentary video, and like, you're writing so much. Like, thank you so much. Like, that's, yeah, I don't know, like, that's just insane to me, honestly. Question 4 was, I think question 4 and was it question 4, 5 and 6 or question 4 and 5? I don't know. The ones in the middle were like multiple choice because I just kind of assumed that people would only have like those options. I did put other as well, so yeah. But yeah, so question 4 was, did getting into boyfriend girlfriend ASMR content help you get into similar content? Podcasts, audiobooks, and roleplay interactive content, or had you already consumed similar content beforehand? Most people put I'd already consumed similar content beforehand, and then some people put it helped me get more into audio drama stuff. Yeah, I'm in that category. And then yeah, some people put no, I just stuck to boyfriend girlfriend ASMR or audio roleplay content. And then there were 3 people that picked the other option. Both. There was some limited content that I liked beforehand, but it also opened me up to new types of content as well. And then sort of, I was a big fan of the 2 princes prior to finding audio roleplay content, and that was my first step into, whoa, you can tell stories just through audio? It's not quite interactive in the same way as audio roleplay stuff in my opinion, but it's led me getting into other audio based content as well. I didn't branch out with audio content, but it made me more open-minded to boyfriend girlfriend roleplay. Yes, as it should. Yeah, okay, the next one I mean, I don't really know what the title of this video will be, but I feel like it's probably gonna be like, is boyfriend and girlfriend ASMR cringe? Yeah, like, I don't know, like, it might be that, but I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, the fifth question was, do you think boyfriend girlfriend ASMR or audio roleplay content is often misunderstood as cringe or weird? And the options were yes, no, I also find it cringe sometimes. And also other. So yeah, most people put yes. And then the next highest is I also find it cringe sometimes. And then other people put certain content and videos can be and or are predatory. There are plenty of minors in the community, though I wouldn't consider it cringe or weird. Yeah, that is unfortunately, you know, the bad side of this, and the bad side of the, you know, kind of relationship with the creator and the community, because I think, or I like to think that in most cases it's pretty chill when people, you know, the creator likes comments and replies to comments and stuff. They might have a Discord, whatever, and, you know, mess around on that and stuff, but it's all, you know, platonic and it's not like weird. But then I do know that it has gone too far, and there are unfortunately some creators that are just, you know, predators, and that's obviously disgusting. Yeah, I basically, yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. I wouldn't consider it cringe or weird, yeah. Oh my days, sorry, can I just me when I'm literally making a commentary video about this and then redactedaudio just posts my favorite character. He just posted a Gavin audio. I'm so normal about him. Anyway, yeah, I think it is wildly misunderstood. However, yes, there is a lot of it that even I would consider to be cringe or cliche. Yeah, it can be cringe, but it's also a useful way for people to relax. I do think it's misunderstood as weird, and sometimes it is really cringy, but it depends on who you listen to. Redactedaudio, Nightfalls, and Aura Lesson are really talented, in my opinion. I honestly agreed. I think it does really depend on who you listen to, and also like which characters you listen to as well, because I know that even with like Eric, you know, like even with redactedaudio, there are still like characters that are not cringe, but they're just a bit more cringe than others, I guess. Or like, I don't know, I don't know like a way to explain it, honestly. Yeah, but I get what you mean, because agreed, I think there are some, you know, channels that aren't really cringe and that are mostly like, you know, plot focused and stuff, and that's really cool. I understand where people are coming from. Yes, it can be kind of cringy at some points, and even I can't listen to the regular ASMR vids. All of the above. It depends on the audio and what audio each person has as a baseline for what they're like. Yeah, it depends. There is genuinely good content out there that shows just how much work a lot of these creators put into their content. However, the creators that play on tropes popular amongst viewers, who are quite often far too young for said content, typically come off as creepy or lazy, as their content lacks originality and decent characterization. You dropped your crown, honestly. You dropped your crown, okay? And you also dropped the mic, and you dropped a truth bomb as well, because yeah, you actually ate with that, and I couldn't have said it better. Yeah, it depends on the channel. Like, there are a few channels I refuse to listen to because they either say some questionable things or the creator is questionable, but usually the only thing cringy is the title of the videos. Exactly, yeah. I'm aware it's very cringe, but it makes me and others happy, so what's the harm? For real. It really depends. The people I listen to create content that is much more than the relationship that is being portrayed. Others, on the other hand, yeah, I get you. And the last one is yes, and there's nothing wrong with cringe. And again, based. You guys are so based. Honestly, these opinions, yeah, I totally agree. This is question 6. Do you feel as though boyfriend, girlfriend ASMR or audio roleplay content creators and communities are safe and healthy, or can they sometimes be toxic and dangerous? Actually, honestly, most people went into detail. Most people said it's kind of a mix. Like any fandom, it seems that there's always going to be toxic elements, especially as the community grows, unfortunately. Yeah. Every fandom has its bad side, but I rarely come into toxic people in the fandoms. If I do see it, I never engage in it. We don't claim them. Yeah. I'm not on TikTok or Twitter, so I don't really know. The worst stuff I've seen is ship course, and I just block people I disagree with. So yeah, probably, but not for me. Yeah, I deleted Twitter. I still have TikTok, but you know, I tend to just stick to Tumblr because I feel like Tumblr's pretty chill most of the time, and most people are really nice on there. So yeah, I feel no community is completely healthy. I feel this community in particular is more on the healthy side from what I've seen, but there are always the toxic people who ruin it. Yeah, I do want to say, and I think there will probably be people who will also say that, like, I think it depends on the creator themselves, because I feel like if the creator or if the, you know, person behind the channel, whatever, if they are a good person, I feel like that affects how the fandom is and whether there's, you know, set rules and boundaries and stuff. But even then, I feel like there are some times where it is gonna be dangerous. Someone said here, I think when a content creator interacts too closely with their fandom, it can create a parasocial relationship with themselves or the characters they voice, and it can lead to some weird ass shit. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, they can be toxic. Everything can be toxic. I think the main issue with relationship between content creators and audio roleplay communities is the parasocial aspect of it. Then again, you get that with just about any online creator. Yeah. Also, someone said it's more depending on the audio content itself. If there's some yandere audio creator, it'll get a little dangerous if the fan base gets parasocial. However, if it's regular or a lore creator, it'll be great, and usually it is, coming from experience. Yeah, I think most people are saying it just honestly depends, you know, on how the creator is and whether they set their boundaries or not. And I think it can be if the relationship does get like parasocial and stuff. And also I do know that there has been some issues in this community with some of these channels like grooming their fans. Yeah, and that is like definitely dangerous in terms of parasocial relationships, and also that's just horrible in general. I feel like that should be obvious. There are creators who have provided a healthy community, but as all communities can be, there are some bad apples. Some audio roleplay creators have used their platform and create a fan dynamic to be predatory before, and obviously that's dangerous to the community and audio roleplay at large. Although most of the creators I listen to today aren't problematic, some creators are very problematic, making not safe for work audios of minors, romanticizing abuse and toxic relationships is just two things that I've seen in this community. Yeah, a lot of channels do kind of, or just media in general, will romanticize toxic and, you know, abusive relationships, or just relationships with, you know, like an unfair sort of power dynamic. And yeah, and I feel like there is just a lot of like romanticizing toxicity, which, you know, not only is just a problem in this community, but it's also a problem that's worldwide in media as a whole that is targeted towards teens. Because I feel like if you're not mature enough, then, you know, I feel like that can be, or not even that can be, that is very dangerous if you're not mature enough to understand and differ between what is healthy and what isn't healthy. You know, some people were saying that like listening to this kind of content is a safe place to listen to things that, like, you know, like listen to things that you usually or kind of experience things that you usually would never experience. And yeah, that can be fun, that can be interesting. But also I feel like if it is like a toxic relationship, or if just anything in general that is harmful or that will trigger someone or anything like that, I feel like that needs to be made clear, and I feel like that needs to be emphasized a lot more. I think that's probably the reason, or one of the reasons why Redacted Audio is my favorite like audio roleplay channel, because there are always content warnings or trigger warnings like in the description of literally every single audio. So, you know, even before listening to it, you already know what you're in for. And also it's made very clear that if a character or if their actions or whatever's happening is toxic and is bad, it's made very clear and very apparent, you know, that they are a bad person, that their actions, you know, shouldn't be excused. But I think not all creators do that, but I feel like more creators should do that because I feel like that is gonna be what helps people the most, so people can differ from what's healthy and what's unhealthy relationship wise. This is question 7. Do you consume M for A and F for A content or gendered content? So yeah, basically, do you consume gender neutral content or, gender specific content? Most people said a bit of both, and then the next popular one is gender neutral content, and then there are a few people who did other. I try to stick to neutral listeners, but that tends to be difficult as even the neutral ones switch randomly to female listeners in the middle of the series. That is so true. I think, I know that it's like not just me as well, because I did see someone bring this up earlier, but I think this community is a very safe space for LGBTQ+ people like myself in general. I feel like most of the things I've talked about, it does depend on who you listen to. Some channels are going to be great at that and some channels aren't. I already ranted about redacted audio for a lot of this video, but we're gonna bring them up again. I always usually seek out gender neutral content because I don't really like, or I don't really listen to anything else, honestly. Some channels, even if they do present themselves as being inclusive, there is sort of a bias going on. It doesn't really feel like they make content specifically for, specifically to be gender neutral and inclusive of everyone, I feel like they just kind of whacked that on so more people would click on it, and not to shade any of those people and any of those like channels. I think it could definitely be improved in those cases. Specifically redacted audio, I never feel uncomfortable when I'm listening because I know that that's a very important thing for Eric, and I know that's, what he aimed to do from the very beginning, and I never want to feel uncomfortable when I'm listening to this and when I'm getting into this universe, and I think that's so important. And I think that when people do target it towards anyone and it is gender neutral, I think that's amazing, and I think more content should do that, because I feel like in so many different like other medias, I feel like there's always a specific target audience, like, oh, this is only for teens, this is only for the boys, this is only for teen girls, this is only for middle-aged women, whatever. I feel like the world would just be a lot better if it were more inclusive for everyone, and if content was created from the very beginning and to include everyone. I think that's probably why I feel like really safe, specifically in like the redacted audio community. Yeah, I don't know, like it makes me very happy, and it makes LGBTQ+ people feel very safe and loved and accepted and included. Yeah, I did kind of talk about the next question now, because the next question is, do you feel as though boyfriend girlfriend ASMR audio roleplay content is inclusive and a safe space for the LGBTQ+ community, or do you think things could be improved? Yeah, I think the top one is, yeah, there can definitely be some improvement. M for A, F for A, and then M for trans females and M for trans males, and etc. Is completely fine, though when searching up M for M or FF, so, male for male, female for female, I found there's a lot more adult content. As someone who used these audios as a way to figure out my identity, I found it hard to take anything I felt seriously, since a lot of the videos ended in sex. I was already fairly confident in my sexuality. There are plenty of videos that don't end in that, but that's after how I've tailored the recommended to my liking. Apart from it being difficult to find less adult content, I would say the communities are very accepting. I have never heard or seen a single person utter anything racist, homophobic, transphobic or sexist, and I feel very safe expressing my sexuality and gender in said communities. I think gender neutral content done right can be really affirming. However, I think it's important to note that male ASMR artists are dominating heavily, and I think it's a lot harder for femme presenting artists to get established. But this is a pretty historic trend, I'd say, over the past 5+ years, which means it feels like it's easy to get gender neutral content if you're into men or masculine voices, but harder to find content for femme or female voices unless you're really looking. Also, this doesn't address the bias towards presumed whiteness, cisgender, and able-bodied people, which is harder to find. Yeah. Speaking as an ally, so take this with a grain of salt, things could definitely be improved. As far as I've seen, the majority of content is still either M for F or F for M, so content for anyone with different preferences is pretty limited. I also know that this is about LGBTQ+ people, but ASMR also isn't that inclusive of everyone in general. Speakers often describe the listeners in a specific way that not everyone can relate to. For example, let me run my fingers through your silky hair. Already not relatable if you have curly hair. Often there's a specific implication as to how the listener looks, which largely follows Eurocentric beauty standards. Yeah, I totally agree. And also this is just another plug, honestly, to listen to Redacted Audio, because he never specifies the listener or the character and just how anyone looks. You know, that's amazing, and I wish more people did that. Yes, only if you choose the right creators though. Creators that properly tag their audios are such a huge blessing. M for A would be the safest bet, but you can dabble accordingly to your liking and figure out if you enjoy it yourself. Direct intimacy is like dipping your toes into figuring out what gender you are into without fully committing. Not to mention you can try out being called different pronouns and discover a few things about labels too. M for A ASMR made me realise how much I enjoyed going by they them. That's very cool. That's very cool, bestie. At least for the fandoms I'm in, it is a very inclusive and safe space, especially when it comes to M for M or F for F, or even in poly situations. I will say some audios will strictly be M for F or F for M, but I don't think it's homophobic or anything, at least most of the time. But I do wish to see more M or F for A unless it has to be gendered for story purposes. Many audios I've seen will have an F and M version, and many also something along the lines of trans or dysphoria comfort, so those are nice. Yes, agreed. I have seen a few dysphoria comfort, and yeah, that has been amazing. Yes, and I think the fact that a lot of creators are helping their listener characters gender neutral helps a lot with LGBTQ+ feelings included. I've yet to come across any type of homophobic or transphobic audios, so I'm pretty hopeful in that regard. I don't think there's much to be done to improve the inclusion of LGBTQ+ people. In the end, most creators are doing this for fun or as a side thing. You can't force them to make content they don't want to make. Yes and no. For the LGBTQ+ community, I feel that it is a safe space for the most part, but there are some creators in the past who have made LGBTQ+ content for people within the community and have kinda used it to make profit out of it in a bad way. Yeah, I do feel like, especially if it's like M for M, like it can and it will be fetishized, unfortunately. Yeah, I think that just, you know, says a lot about society and how, you know, people fetishize like gay men a lot more nowadays, especially, you know, with like yaoi and stuff. That's a whole other topic that I could go into, but yeah. It's pretty good in my opinion. Some people do tend to default to referring to listener characters as she, her, and headcanning them as pretty much all female, which annoys me as a non-binary listener, but it doesn't bother me too much. There are also some instances of homophobia that I've seen, despite the fact that the community is for everyone, including people who are the same gender as the listeners, but those are rare cases. Yeah. Definitely, gender-neutral listeners let anyone, regardless of gender or sexuality, experience a safe and loving relationship, something that they might not be able to have in real life. Also, having audio roleplays targeted towards gendered listeners can be a way for anyone questioning their gender to try out new pronouns. It definitely helped me figure out some stuff. I am NB. Slay. Me too. I think it is a safe space, but I do think it could be improved. I have rarely ever seen M for M audios, and when I do, they either aren't great or are heavily over-sexualized. M for A is usually the best option, but there are always people who argue the point that it should be strictly for women, which is stupid and defeats the whole purpose. Yeah, I did touch on that earlier. Yeah, I think M for M audios do tend to be over-sexualized. But yeah, that is definitely a problem that needs to be solved. I'd say for the most part, yes, especially given how it's fairly normalized for gender neutral content to be created. In addition, I see lots of channels where there will be portrayal or mention of queer relationships on and off screen. When it comes to trans and non-binary people, I do wish there was more of a push to support creators and fans who belong to those groups. Yes, agreed. Yes, I've seen so many channels that are a safe space for people in the queer community. I've seen countless trans comfort audios and even some non-binary ones too. The only thing that I think needs improvement is M for M audios. It's really hard to find creators who use he, him pronouns when talking about the listener. Yeah, agreed. I found that if the listener in the roleplay content is gender neutral, the community surrounding that content tends to be more LGBTQ plus friendly. If the listener is gendered, it can get a bit rocky, especially if it's M for F or F for M. Nothing against that content, the community just scares me sometimes. I fully get you, bestie, yeah. Yeah, that is, yeah, me too. They're usually inclusive. There's a lot of audios out there that are for comfort for body issues or gender dysphoria, and M for A and F for A itself shows the speaker being pan. Yeah, being pansexual. Also, yeah, can I also just say that, yeah, because I was kind of talking about the, you know, the way that the content is, you know, made and who it's for, but also can I just say that, you know, if your content is made for anyone, that, you know, not only does that make like the listener character like, you know, non-binary or just, you know, gender neutral, whatever, and that you know, makes them like queer, but that also makes all of the characters queer as well. Like if it is you know, in like a romantic sort of context, I feel like if we're talking boyfriend girlfriend ASMR, it is gonna be romantic, but yeah, if we're just talking audio roleplay or just ASMR in general, it's not always romantic. It mostly is, but you know, it can just be like platonic as well, and there are some like platonic characters, but yeah, I think, you know, it inherently being M for A or F for A, that literally makes everyone gay. Yeah, it just canonically makes everyone like pansexual or bisexual or just, you know, attracted to anyone, you know, which I just think is really cool, because then everyone's gay, everyone's just queer, guys. We're all queer here. I was gonna quote Dan actually. I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm filled with existential fear. Yes, the M for A and F for A really helps, especially when redacted, including the gay boys. I love you, Hux. And how there's representation too. Yes, Damien and Huxley. I could just make a whole video talking about Damien and Huxley because they're just so cute. I'm literally losing my voice, and you can hear.